Yo, what's up? And welcome to episode 121 of Throwback Hoops. My name is Rob Clayton, and joining me is my main man, Woody V.
What's going on, Robbie? Good to be back.
Glad to have you back, mate. So just before we get into this very special episode, just a reminder where to find us. Please make sure you like, rate, and subscribe on YouTube or where all podcasts are found. So, all right, Woods, let me get into the introduction this week. So it's actually a very special collaboration episode this week. We were joined by one of our friends at the Unwrapped Pick and Roll podcast. It's a huge welcome to the show to Adam Webster.
Thanks so much for having me on, guys. It's a pleasure. Not done video before, so this is like brand new world to me. You guys are veterans in this space, so you're just going to have to hold my hand and guide me through.
Mate, you got a face made for TV, bro.
Good, so it's a good start. Yeah, good start. Nice one. Well, great to have you. And as I said, yeah, very special collaboration episode. So we're going to do this so it goes up on both of our feeds. So, you know, we'll obviously sort of maybe have the different sort of intros at the start, but the main sort of body part of the show will be sort of our stuff there. And we've got lots of to talk about today. But before we do that, we'll start off the show as we do every episode on Throwback Hoops and talk some jerseys. So I know Woody got cranky last week when I asked him to go first and not our special guest. So we'll start with you this week, Adam. I can see you rocking a nice one. You've got a few behind us. So why don't you talk a little bit about those?
Okay, so this is, I'll tell you the story behind this jersey before I reveal the jersey. My lovely mum was in Europe on a Kentucky tour type thing many years ago, about 15, 16 years ago. And she called me from Paris and she said, I'm in a sports store. Here are all the jerseys that they have. Which ones do you want? I'll get you a couple. And she said this name and I had a double take. I'm like, did you really say that name? And she said, yeah, that's what's here. I'm like, I have to have this jersey. So it is a Golden State. Don't know if you can see this, boys.
Oh, yes.
Mickael Pietrus.
Yeah, France.
Mickael Pietrus Golden State jersey. I've not ever seen one in the wild. So I think this is the only one that exists. I hope it's the only one that exists, but it's my favorite jersey that I own because it's so obscure.
And it's a champion jersey, Adam. Woody and I love those old champion ones, so extra points for that one as well. No, that's definitely a nice one.
Yeah, it's kept really well as well. Like, there's absolutely no wear and tear on it, even though I've worn this so much, ridiculous amount. It's a great jersey.
Nice.
Well, when you said Frenchman, you know, your mum was in Paris and whatnot, I saw that Warriors jersey. My mind started going, how many Frenchmen have actually played for the Warriors? And I can only think of Mickael Pietrus. Can you think of anyone else? Just trying to think.
My mind's going to Andres Biedrins, who's more Eastern European.
Yeah, he's I don't know.
Yeah, good question. Someone can put it on the socials if they can think of another Frenchie that played for the Warriors. But I like that, mate. I can see a couple of signed jerseys behind you as well.
Yes, I've got Hakeem Olajuwon. I've got Tyrese Halliburton, who wrote something really nice, and then my beloved Tasmania Jack Jumpers back there, the heritage jersey with the team signature. So, that was a must. As soon as it came out, we'll get into, obviously, how I fell in love with the game a little bit later, but special place in my heart, that particular Jack Jumpers jersey, because it brings back a lot of fond memories for me.
Hey, Woody, I think we need to step up our signed jersey game after seeing some of these today. We know we've got cupboards full of actual jerseys, but I'm loving those signed ones. So, I appreciate that, Adam. Nice, good mix there. And, we love the random obscure ones. So, definitely a lot of points for that.
Respect.
Before Woody starts, we didn't check in with each other who we're going to wear this week.
We never do.
That we're wearing the same player. Would you believe it or not? So
we never do. We never check in.
Take us away there, Woods.
Look, man, I obviously saw him in the media this week, so I'll stand up, right?
Yeah. The Woods are standing up, rocking the number 4 Dallas Mavericks Michael Finley jersey. What are the chances of that, Woods? This many episodes, we've never done this before, have we? But
no, man. I saw online. Obviously, I saw him presenting the award to Luka. I saw him grabbing the beer off Luka, and so I was like, "Yo, man, I'm definitely gonna represent Michael Finley this week on the show." And I made my mind up then, not knowing that you'd be going down that same thinking. But I mean, take it away, man. Tell us a little bit about his accolades, And
firstly, I like that one as well with the old Reebok jersey. I like that colour as well. So they're good. I'll stand up and quickly show this one. This is one of those Nike Rewind ones, Woods. I always go on about these. They're probably my favourite type of jerseys that's ever been made. So we've got the stitched on, really good quality one. So I'll quickly show you this one.
Yep, and obviously for all audio listeners, you heard it. We chose the same jersey today. So Michael Finley, one Reebok, one Nike. So at least we mixed it up,
right.
man, with two distinctly different types of Mavs jerseys. So
definitely, mate. So, well, yeah, a little bit on Mr. Finley. So he was drafted out of Wisconsin at pick 21 in the 95 draft by Phoenix. Went on to play 15 seasons. So he played with Phoenix, Dallas, San Antonio, and Boston. So most of his seasons there were with Dallas. So had a really solid career. Sort of maybe gets slept on a little bit now. His accolades included all-rookie first team in 96, All-Star appearances in 2000 and 2001 while he was with the Mavs. And he also won a championship with the Spurs in 2007. So he's now 51 years of age. He's the vice president of basketball operations with the Mavs. So I thought that was pretty fitting. And my sort of reason for wearing this is I wanted to wear someone that has played for both Boston and Dallas. So just had the one season with Boston, but it still counts there. So that was kind of my reason. Now I'm going to do a bit of quick trivia for you, fellas. So I've actually had a look. Besides Finley, there's been 47 other players in the NBA that have played both with Dallas and Boston. I want you guys to come up with 5 between you if you can do it.
Nick Van Exel. Oh, no, not Boston. No.
Dallas and Boston. Okay.
So I'll give you 2 easy ones. There's 2 that are playing in the NBA Finals. So that's kind of your 2 giveaway ones. One for each. Well, actually 2 for Dallas and 1 for Boston. So that's kind of 3 of the 5.
Kristaps is the Boston.
Kyrie.
Yep, Kyrie. So there's one other that's playing in this Finals. This one I've kind of forgotten about. So he's playing for Dallas now. Well, playing being in inverted commas there. He also played for Boston. He hails from Canada, if that gives you any clues. So I'd actually forgotten a little bit about this one.
Is it Dwight Powell?
It is Dwight Powell, yep. So I think a lot of people, he just played the one season with Boston, but got any other names you remember?
Jason Terry,
correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Couple other guys with worn jerseys on the show, Woods, including one you wore recently that also played for Adams Pacers as well. Guy with the initials MD, if that gives you a clue there.
Marquise Daniels, man. I should have known that, right? Yeah.
How about someone that looks like E.T.? He played for both.
Sam Cassell.
Sam Cassell,
Sam Cassell, yeah.
So, look, I'll tell you if you
know Sam Cassell, guys, it's a dance. It's not...
That's
not
true.
right.
The big balls dance. So, Rajon Rondo, he obviously had that one season.
Yeah.
Who else is there that kind of stands out?
Fat Lever?
He didn't have... No, I don't think he played for Boston.
Okay,
A few quick ones. Brandon Bass, Jay Crowder, Tony Delk, Dan Dickau, who I featured on the show before.
I love Dan Dickau.
Danny Fortson, yep. Gerald Green, Adrian Griffin, Chris Humphreys, a bit of a blast from the past. We've got Popeye Jones, Stacey King, Rafe LaFrance, Eric Montross, RIP, Jameer Nelson, I forgot about. And that's basically about it there. Antoine Walker, Kemba Walker, Delonte West, Grant Williams would have also counted, given he had a small time there. So, yeah, I thought that was interesting. 48 players that have played for both teams, and Woody and I just happened to pick the same one this week. So, good stuff, fellas. I appreciate that. Well, look, I thought we might get into it this week. As I mentioned, we're doing a collaboration episode this week, so there might be people listening or watching on both of these feeds that maybe don't know a lot about us. So, I thought maybe we could talk a little bit about how we discovered our love for this great game of basketball there. So, maybe talk a little bit about, who your idols were growing up, favourite team players, anything else like that. So, as our special guest this week, Adam, we thought we'd start with you on this one.
Thanks, boys. I was thinking a lot about this question over the last little while, and I Googled Encarta 95 basketball introduction. If anyone remembers Encarta 95 in primary school or high school, the first time I remember really flogging something to death on a computer and watching it over and over and over again, it was so you want to play some basketball as intro on Encarta, and it always took about half an hour to load across, the 56K modem. But I, of course, grew up in Hobart, Tasmania. We had the Hobart Devils at the time, so I've got fond memories of going to see Devils games with my dad in about 95, 96 as that team was winding down. Got fond memories of getting a Devils ball when I was a kid and then getting a hoop. And then it was just a matter of shooting until I couldn't see the ball anymore because it was too dark after school. Every night I would be out there making shots and failing at making shots and missing shots. And, as a 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old kid. And then all my friends liked Michael Jordan. So I decided to be a little bit different and like Reggie Miller instead. So that's why I'm a Pacers fan. Obviously the 8 points in 9 seconds, the choking for Reggie, it was, the way that he attacked the game, the way that he was able to win games, and just being different, I guess, as a kid, wanting to go for the team that didn't win all the time and hadn't won in a while and still hasn't won in Indiana. But that's what sort of drew me to the game. And then came full circle. I went to Melbourne for about 10 years and moved back just after the Jack Jumpers announcement. Had the opportunity to call Jack Jumpers games for the last 3 years through Clutch Radio. And we also started a podcast while I was in Melbourne called The Paceroos as well. Got to interview Kevin Pritchard, Chris Copeland, the late great Corey Homicide Williams as well was on the show. So, that's podcasting has been something I've done the last 5 years or so, and I was able to combine my love of basketball with my love of radio and podcasting. And yeah, it's been a pretty fun few years of forming Unwrapped and getting to talk to Luke Longley, who's just an amazing guy. Jade Melbourne, she stands out as someone that's fantastic, and she'll have a really long basketball career, but then probably a long media career after that. So that's why I love the game, and now I get to make content for the Pick and Roll, one of the best basketball sites in the world, with some of the best basketball writers in the world. They're a brilliant group of people, and they've got a lot of stories to tell. So between talking to great Australian basketball players and coaches and officials, and then talking to the journalists, it's a really fun hobby to have.
That's great to hear, Adam. And I think, Woody, we're probably very similar hearing some of those things. And I know we've sort of just clicked so well. I think we've talked about it. It's a pretty small basketball community, isn't it? People that are doing the things that we're doing. And we've all got so much in common, and we've all got that similar love for the game there. So, no, I really appreciate you sharing that with us, mate. That was very interesting, especially the Reggie part as well. I like that. I can sort of talk a little bit about that as well once I get to my part with my love for Dominic Wilkins and, not doing the normal Larry, Michael or Magic type thing. But let's go over to yourself now, Woods, to maybe sort of do a similar chat to what Adam did.
Yeah, just before I do that, Adam, just, big shout out to you and congrats on all the work you've been doing and getting the word out there and getting good content out there for, the basketball community Robbie spoke of is awesome, man. So just keep doing your thing. And I think that Encarta CD video finishes with, "You don't have to be told to play basketball, but it helps," or something like that, right?
Yes.
Hey, was the cover purple? I feel like I can remember the cover. It had like a purple color, and then it had a few players in the middle. I reckon I've still got that somewhere. I wouldn't have thrown that
finishes
away.
with a really close shot of Charles Barkley after a dunk. And I just watched it tonight before we recorded this. Refresh the memory, and I almost remembered every part of it. It's great.
Awesome. Yeah, so look, for me, I've said this before on the show once, I think, coming to Australia in the late 80s, 89, 90, I think it was, into a community called Beecroft, which was, back then, man, it was a very, let's just say it, a white community, right? So coming in, being an ethnic fellow, coming into this community, it was difficult to make friends early on, right? And my first love was cricket, right? And, playing with people from my own community, it felt okay, but it didn't give me, I just played with, family, friends, and cousins and people like that. But Dad would go to USA and he'd bring back packs and packs of cards, these cards I love. And then we'd sit down and our bonding time would be putting those cards and reading about the players and, educating ourselves on the NBA and then the NBL on the weekends. We'd go to all those Kings games. A couple of idols of mine, Dwayne McClain, and from the Sydney Kings. And I was a Jordan guy, even though I'm a Hawks fan. I was a Jordan guy for a long time as well, like a lot of your friends were, Adam. So I think a lot of kids growing up at that time in the 80s. Michael Finley himself was a Jordan guy. There's a lot of guys, a lot of kids who looked up, wanted to be like Mike, let's say. But anyway, going back to the story. Dad got me registered into basketball, and it allowed me to break down barriers. It allowed me to build friendships with people from all walks of life, all communities. I fitted in more, at school because I was the guy who could play basketball, the young kid who could play basketball, and not many people were playing it then. It was, cricket, your tennis, your soccer. It's only in the early 90s that basketball started becoming a thing. So I think that my first love for basketball was a vehicle for me to break down barriers in my community and be fit in here in Australia. So yeah, and I've loved it to this day. That's 35 plus years ago. So and in doing things like this, the podcast is just for fun. But I love talking about the game. I love reading statistics on the game, collecting memorabilia because there's something just special about it. So that isn't going to change, and I owe the game a lot.
Woods, that's awesome. I mean, that's a really cool story, particularly the part about you bonding with your dad, because I can really relate to that going to Devils games early on. Like that's the earliest memories I can have of going to sports contests with my dad, footy and basketball. And lo and behold, one of my two favourite sports, footy and basketball, because you share those experiences with your family, the ones you love, and you also see all your friends and all the people that you surround yourself with at school playing these sports, loving these sports, talking about these sports. So it's pretty cool that you're able to find a love in something that wasn't necessarily what the people around you directly loved, and you're able to be in a place like Australia that you're able to do something with that love and continue to enjoy it and now make content about it. That's amazing.
For sure. And it's a bit like giving back, to the game that's been so good to me, Adam. And as you said, you can't. Those are some of the fondest memories you have bonding with your father, like you can attest to, right? So those early Kings games, the Kingdom, in the Entertainment Center, like some of the greatest memories of my life. I still miss the Entertainment Center to today.
Hey, Woods, I want to ask you a hard-hitting question, mate.
Okay.
If someone said to you, starting from today, you're only allowed to watch basketball or cricket for the rest of your life, which one do you pick?
That's not a fair question, man.
It's a fair question. I want to know the answer.
I can't
answer it. So is it a total draw then, is it, between the two for you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to decide.
I thought we were going to get the hot scoop. All right,
it's hard to decide, man. I love them both in different ways. They both fill a void in my life, just like footy and basketball for you two blokes, right?
Fair enough. All right, I appreciate that, mate. Well, look, I guess my journey, I'm a little bit older than you guys. So I think for me, my brother was a big influence on me getting into basketball. So I think it was around like 84, I think. Basically, I started playing then, so I'm still playing now. So I've been playing for 40 years now, which is a good effort considering my back's pretty bad these days. It's a bit hard to run up the court. But my first sort of love and sort of hero in basketball was Dominic Wilkins. I remember at the local basketball stadium growing up in Perth, the Kalamunda basketball team, I think they're the Eastern Suns now in the NBL One. They had some posters of a few stars there, shoe ads and stuff like that. And they had a Dominic Wilkins poster. I remember thinking, how cool is this guy? He's got the flat top going on. I thought that number 21 is just an awesome looking number. And it was the same thing. Like, people I knew or other people, it was always Jordan, Magic, Bird, one of those sort of three. I thought, no, I'm going to make this guy my favourite player and become an Atlanta Hawks fan. So obviously a long-suffering fan, similar to what Adam said with being a Pacers fan. But, I'm probably more passionate about Atlanta as each year goes on. Still, as an old man now, I've still got, a garage filled with Dominic posters and Josh Smith posters and now Trae Young posters and kind of those different eras there. I think similar to Woody, I love all the statistics part, the memorabilia part. I mean, you can see some of the things behind me there. Pretty much every room, even in this new house, when the missus hasn't really given me permission, has got some sort of basketball thing in some room there, and about 5 wardrobes filled with jerseys. So I think Woods, I'm up to about 600 NBA jerseys, I think, at last count. I think that's what we're up to there. So
I'm not a bit behind you. I'm around mid 400s, I'd say.
Yeah, we'll try and catch me. Yeah. So, and look, in terms of sort of the involvement now, I mean, those who know Woods, we actually talked about this podcast idea for quite a while, and it was only when COVID came in, we're like, let's do it. We've talked about this for ages. We literally have these chats to ourselves during the week anyway before we hit the record button. So we've done that now, and it's great. Not only has it sort of opened some doors with a few things in our life, we've just got to meet so many great people, and exactly like someone like Adam, who we've only met on a couple of occasions now, but it already feels like we've known the guy for ages, and already sort of finding that close bond there. So like Adam, I've sort of delved into the commentary side of things. So I'm the full-time home commentator for the Hills Hornets in the NBL One East. So absolutely love that. I've done every home game they've had since the NBL One East started. So something I enjoy. Love doing the preparation. Love sitting the best seat in the house and calling all these games and that. That's probably my background. So, Atlanta Hawks, Perth Wildcats, they're two of my biggest loves in the world, those two things there. Obviously, one team's been really good and one team's been pretty mediocre, let's call it, for most part. Those that'll know that we also, Woods and I did an NBA trip in March this year, so I got to see 3 Hawks home games, which really was a dream come true. And we saw them beat possibly NBA champions Boston in overtime with a DJ buzzer beater, so that just topped it off there. So
it must also be said, about 20 years ago, I worked at Optus, and a guy came to me who worked with me. He goes, "Hey man, there's this guy I know, his name's Robbie, right? You know, he's an Atlanta Hawks fan just like you. He loves hip hop and shit. You're gonna love this guy, man. We should introduce you. And that guy now, Adam, he lives in Melbourne. We're still in touch with him from time to time. Shout out to Pinky, wherever he is. But yeah, 20 years later, we're still friends on the back of that introduction.
He set us up like we were going on a date or something, didn't he? It was quite funny the way it happened. And now we speak every day. We're best of mates, and I even got to put up with some of Woody's funny quirks travelling overseas with him. And that was even fine there. So. No, that's good stuff. Well, appreciate that, fellas. That was good to kind of get to know a little bit about us, and maybe for the people that don't know how we got involved and everything else like that, that was a good little way to reminisce it and everything like that.
Well,
so, yeah.
I've got one for you before we move on, because you're a commentator like I have been lucky enough to be over the last few years. What's your favourite moment that you've called?
Ooh, there was a buzzer beater last year that Hills had over Maitland, maybe. Liam Moss got this fadeaway shot, and I've played it back so many times that I'm just literally screaming, and he's got this shot and everything. Probably my favourite game that I've commentated would be when St Mary's came and they played an exhibition game against Hills. So I got to see, that St Mary's team with the Aussies. So that was great. Sort of seeing, the three Aussies playing for St Mary's, and they obviously did a pretty big job over Hills Hornets that way. But I'll throw it back to you yourself, mate. You got a standout moment or a game that you've done? Or?
I think it's game 2 of the most recent NBL finals, because it's the first game of the finals the Jack Jumpers have ever won. So the ability to call that with my broadcast partner Jacob Dool was really special. And then a couple of days later, I got to fly to Melbourne and watch the Jack McVeigh shot live. That was just, I was over there with all my best friends. And it's funny, growing up in Tasmania, being a footy fan, usually you all don't support the same team, right? Like everyone in Tassie, because there's no team down here, or there hasn't been, everyone tends to support the team that their dad supported, or their grandfather supported. So all of my friends support different AFL teams. And then the Jack Jumpers came along and we all supported the same team for the first time in all of our lives. So we went over as a group, as a collective, all for the same team, and got to experience all of that together, which was just a really fond memory, because we hadn't really had that growing up. We'd all just been pitted against each other, whereas now we've got the JJs, and that's the power of sport, I think.
That's great to hear. And you might have an AFL team you can all go for soon as well.
Very true.
You want to jump
Very
ship
true.
there as well. Nice. Oh, that was fun, lads. Good sort of for people to sort of know how, if we found our love and what we're sort of, currently doing in the game and that. So, well, given it's Wednesday the 5th of June, we're just 2 sleeps away from the NBA final starting. So Boston taking on Dallas. So thought we'd talk a little bit about that. Woods, we won't talk any more about Michael Finley. There's been too much Michael Finley on this show already. But what I thought we could do is maybe make some predictions. We do love predictions on this show, Adam. We sort of go out on a limb sometimes. Sometimes we can make some absolutely terrible ones, but we normally own up to our predictions and everything else like that. So I might throw it over maybe to yourself, Adam, first. Maybe give us a prediction. Tell us who you think will win, maybe why you think they'll win, and maybe in how many games.
It won't shock you guys to know that I've got a lot more Celtics fans in my life than Mavs fans, because there's so many Celtics fans around Australia. So I'd like to see them. No, I can't say it. Dallas, I want to see Dallas win. I can't go that far. I can't say that I want to see the Celtics win, particularly as a Pacers fan. Dallas is fine. Dallas is the Western Conference. They're away from us a little bit. I'm okay with seeing them win. Do I think they'll win? Yeah, I think they do. I think they will, because I think they've got the best player in the series, and Luka Doncic. I think that Boston have obviously the best starting 5 in the league, but they drop away after that. Dallas seem to have a deeper team. They're on a really good run right now, beating a Minnesota team that knocked off the defending champions. So from that perspective, they're in really, really good form. And Boston, with due respect to the Pacers, the Cavs, they haven't really played anyone yet. They have been challenged over the last little while. I'm the first one to praise the Pacers for making the Eastern Conference Finals, but the way that they got there was mostly through the injuries to Giannis Antetokounmpo, Julius Randle, injuries to OG Anunoby. So they weren't really able to bring the best teams to face Boston time and time again. And then, of course, Tyrese Halliburton went down in the conference finals. So for me, I think Dallas have had a harder road. They're playing up to more of the level of a champion, and I think they're going to win the series.
How many games would you predict?
I'm going to say 6, and they take it on their home floor.
And do you think there's anything with Boston being off for a bit longer now? Do you think that's either going to help or hurt Boston? Because it's been, maybe it'll be 8 days, I think, by the time they play again. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it comes down to preparation, and even though they've got the talent in the starting five, there's pretty consistently been a call out that the coaching is a little bit suspect at times, and people tend to blame the coach if things go wrong, Joe Mazzulla. So I think that will hurt them, and Dallas have a really good opportunity to take game one. They have probably more momentum than Boston, and they're riding high after beating Minnesota and really smacking them apart from that gentleman's sweep game 4 win.
And both teams have been really good on the road this playoffs as well, haven't they? I think Boston have only lost 2 games, and maybe both game 2s at home, I think, if I'm not mistaken there. So, all right, so we've got 1 for Dallas. What about yourself, Woods?
Nah, look, I'm going to have to disagree there, all right, with Adam. Look, 64 games this Celtics team won, right? 64, am I right? One of the most efficient offenses in NBA history. Drew Holiday, KP, Derek White, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. That's a great starting 5. Al Horford, steps into the bench role a little bit more. I understand what Adam's saying about the depth and all that, right? But, you come the playoffs, you play 7, maybe 8 guys. You might see 1 or 2 other guys apart from Horford come off the bench. KP is fit again. And I think, look, 2 out of the last 3 years, they've been in the NBA Finals. 6 out of the last 8 years, they've been in the conference finals, right? I think this is their time. But having said all of that, I do want Dallas to win, right? I do want them to win. We got Australians represented there. They're fun to watch. It's a great story, and Cinderella story for them to make this run. What I will agree with is they've been really tested, beating 3 of the top 4 seeds to get here. And what Adam says does have some credence in that it was a pretty easy run for the Celtics to get here. But after all their trials and tribulations, what they've gone through over, the last however many years, as I said, 8 years that they've been in the mix, I think this is their time. And a little bit of sentiment for our guy Al Horford. Who knows how long he's going to be around for? One of Atlanta Hawks' finest ever servants. So I want to see him potentially leave this game with the championship to his name. So yeah, that's my 2 cents, and I say Pistons in 6. No, sorry,
Pistons.
Not Pistons. I say Boston Celtics in 6. My bad.
Celtics in 6.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a little bit about KP Woods. You mentioned him there. Apparently he's right. He's playing game 1 there. How do you think he'll be there? It feels like they maybe give him a bit of an extra opportunity. I heard he could have come back in the last series and they've held him out a bit. You got any concerns about his health there?
Yeah, definitely. But, he's bounced back from injuries in the past really quickly and been able to make an impact. I was reading some stats today that he's come back from injuries really well and hasn't taken that long to be conditioned. I think if they can get 20, 25 minutes out of him, that'll be good. The fact that they had, as Adam mentioned, they had the easy run through to get to this finals meant they could take a cautious approach with him, give him some more time to get back. And I think this break would have been done him some good, right? Extra time.
Okay. Well, probably like you guys, I'm definitely hoping that Dallas win. For those that know me well, Dirk Nowitzki's my second all-time favourite NBA player after Dominique, so I've always had that soft spot even after his retirement there. Like you said, Woods, the 2 Aussies there, wouldn't it be great to see? We've already seen like we've had so many Aussies win championships now. It'd be great to see 2 more, especially someone like Josh Green, who's got that Hills Hornets connection with his dad being a former import of the Hills Hornets back in the 90s there. So in saying that, though, I am picking Boston. I do think they just have the better team in general. Big thing for me as well, I do love the defenders on Boston, right? And I think that backcourt of Derek White and his gigantic forward there, and of course Drew Holiday there. I think those 2 are going to give Kyrie and Luka a lot of fits there. I know Luka's obviously got the height over both of them. Wouldn't be surprised if we see Boston play a little bit of Jaylen Brown on him there and try and maybe throw different matchups at him, but I could see someone like Drew Holiday and, to a lesser extent, Derek White really impacting Kyrie there. I think they're quick, they're long, they're smart sort of players there. So looking forward to see all those matchups there. The rest versus Rusting is interesting. Boston's obviously played a lot less games there. They have had time off, but maybe that's going to be in their favour. And I think maybe it is their time as well. We've seen them sort of get close and be the bridesmaids there. I think maybe this is their time. Funny for me that both of these coaches, these teams, were almost on the chopping block, towards the end of last year, and now they're both coaching in the finals. So it shows you maybe coaches get too much credit when a team, or not enough credit when a team wins, and then vice versa when they lose. Because both those guys, I don't think they've really changed their styles a whole lot, but both teams have retooled. For Boston in the off season with getting Holiday, and obviously Dallas at the trade deadline getting PJ and Daniel Gafford there. So That's probably a long-winded way of saying I think it will go the distance. I can see Boston winning this in 7. I've got to say I don't know that the playoffs, with all respect to your Pacers, Adam, who's certainly put up a good fight, I don't think the playoffs have been amazing so far. There's maybe been one series, maybe the Minnesota-Denver series that I enjoyed, a couple other ones that have been a bit, and I think health has impacted that. So I think Boston will win in 7. Hope it's a really good series there. Looking forward to be able to watch a game on Monday on the public holiday here, which is going to be nice. But yeah, so Boston in 7. So let me recap that. I've got Boston in 7. Woods?
Boston in 6.
And Adam?
Dallas in 6 for me, boys.
Okay, interesting. So if you
That's
don't want
fair.
to go on the distance, yeah.
Maybe I'll just throw one thing to you guys: the coaching, right? Mazzulla versus Kidd. Kidd's done a really good job, and he's really matured as a coach since those early days, right? So that could play a big part here, right? In the result of this series, right?
I feel like Jason Kidd's been under pressure every single year he's been a head coach in the league, and now all of a sudden he's on the verge of potentially winning an NBA championship if the next 2 weeks go well for him. So that's a pretty stunning turnaround for a guy that many thought was not a good coach. And, I mean, if you've got a ring, you're a good coach. At the end of the day, that's the name of the game. So it will be really interesting to see how this shakes out. I think legacies are a big part of this. Luka has yet to win a ring. Jason Tatum has yet to win a ring. I mean, to use that vernacular, a friend of mine sent me a text the other day saying, is Jason Tatum the LeBron James of Paul George's? And that could be the case if he fails to win a ring. He could just be, the greatest player that probably isn't the best player on a championship winning team if he continues to not win a championship for Boston.
Right. Hey, Adam, let me throw a question to you about Jason Tatum there. So all we're hearing this week is, Dallas have the best player in the series. And there's no doubt Luka's in amazing form. He was 3rd in MVP voting. I think Tatum was 5th. I wouldn't be surprised if Tatum takes a bit of, offence to that and just almost people are sort of understating him. He could really come out and have an amazing series. And I agree, he should, right? That should be a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. Hopefully he comes out and plays the game that we know he can there. So I think he's more of a complete player than Luka, but Luka's just got so many, things in his arsenal there and a lot more complete sort of ball handler and playmaker as well, I guess. So I wonder if they'll match up on each other as well. That'd be interesting to see if that would happen. Probably unlikely, but it would be fun if it happened.
Maybe on a possession every now and again. I mean, from Jason Tatum, we haven't really seen the killer instinct from him a lot in his career, and he cites Kobe as influence. He's always sort of talking about the influence that Kobe's had. Yeah. I want to see a serious Jason Tatum in this series. I want to see that killer instinct that that we saw from great champions in the past, and I think he is capable of grabbing this series by the scruff of the neck and scoring in bunches and scoring over 30 a game and winning the finals MVP. Whether he does or not is another thing. We haven't necessarily seen that from him in many playoff series at the pointy end of the season.
Good stuff. No, I appreciate that, lads. So, of course, the finals tip off Friday, Australian time, Friday morning. So, if you're working, try and sort of have a TV close by or try and see if your boss will give you the day off there. But definitely looking forward to that. I thought while we're still talking some NBA, Adam, we might just finish off a little bit of Pacers talk there. We know, obviously, your love for the Pacers there. One thing Woody and I like doing after a team's got knocked out is kind of talk about how we've rated their season and also look ahead at what is next for them. So how would you sum up the Pacers season and what do you think they need to do for next season?
I don't think you can do anything except grade this season as an overwhelming success for Indiana based on where people expected them to be at the start of the year. I mean, this was supposed to be another growth year, an opportunity for another lottery pick in Jarris Walker to, introduce himself into the rotation and potentially get minutes. But it was also the last year before Tyrese's extension kicks in. So it was the last year where they could potentially make moves before they have salary cap squeeze across this off-season. And this next couple of months is really the last opportunity they have to make that big splash and add potentially a third big piece to that now Tyrese and Pascal Siakam core that they've established. I fully expect them to re-sign Pascal for 4 years, maybe 5, but probably 4. And I expect them to be looking at avenues to try and improve one of those starting spots. Guys like Aaron Nesmith and Andrew Nembhard showed great promise in the playoffs, particularly Nembhard. Nembhard in the Boston series showed that he can potentially be a long-term starter beside Tyrese Halliburton. He can take the best guard on the other team defensively, and he can score. So I think it's the Naismith piece that they need to upgrade. I think they need to keep Naismith. They need to keep Pascal, bring Naismith off the bench, and try and get your bona fide small forward in there. I think if you go on Pacers Twitter, you see a lot of Paul George stuff out there. He's got a player option. He hasn't accepted that player option. Philadelphia are interested. Orlando are interested. Could Indiana be interested? You know that Paul George said this week that he thinks that the Pacers will retire his jersey. I don't think they would unless he came back and unless he was able to contribute to, a deep run, if not a championship team. So for me, the romantic in me would like them to sign Paul George. I have very fond memories. I went for my honeymoon in 2014 to Pacers Heat to watch a regular season game where the Pacers won at home by 1 point. Lance Stephenson got rejected. I got the whole experience. It was sensational. But the LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh team versus that Paul George, David West, Roy Hibbert, Lance Stephenson, George Hill team. So that was a real highlight. So to see PG come back after the leg injury, after leaving the team, would be really nostalgic, and I think would actually help the team. And it's the type of player that they need. Is that wishful thinking? Maybe. But they really need to upgrade one starting spot.
That certainly would be a good fairy tale story, wouldn't it? I'll be pleased about that because I could pull out my old PG Pacers jersey. Probably be a different number now after that number change. But what are your thoughts quickly, Woods? What do you think maybe they need to improve for next season?
This thing you don't know, Adam, is that I'm a massive Aaron Nesmith fan. In fact, I just ordered his jersey and they ran out of it because I just love the dog in him, I love the way he plays.
He's great.
The way he goes about his business. But I completely agree with you, right? Coming off the bench, giving you that energy as that guy, 6th or 7th guy is the future for him in the NBA. And what a story it would be. I think of Paul George and the humble man that he was back in those Indiana Pacers days, right? And it's almost like a different guy to the guy now playing for the Clippers. So it would be nice for him to come back to his roots. And he has a nice group around him now to play with. So that would be awesome. And that would automatically, Benedict Mathurin comes back. You find a way to fit Paul George into that rotation. That team looks really, really good and has that ability to take that next step if you can upgrade. Yeah.
The only issue I have is that if you get Paul George, you're going to have to give up one of Walker or Mathurin. Yeah. You're going to have to potentially part with TJ McConnell's contract, maybe Jalen Smith, those guys. So you're going to have to give something up to get something. Sure. I don't think they're willing to give up Tyrese or Pascal, Andrew Nemhard, Nesmith, or indeed Miles Turner. I think they're really comfortable with those pieces, but everyone else on the roster, I think you have to look at potentially upgrading that spot. And Mathurin's probably the obvious one to try and get a sign and trade happening with the Clippers to get them some value back, which is disappointing because I think Mathurin's going to be a great player and potentially make an all-star team at some point in his career.
Yeah.
But do you have to win now? Or do you let Mathurin go and, you control him over the next 2 seasons plus his rookie extension? Do you rest on your laurels and say, we're just going to run it back with who we've got? I think that's a defensible thing to do too.
Well, hopefully one player they don't get rid of, Adam, is TJ McConnell. Absolutely love that guy. He was so important for him in that playoff run.
White Iverson, we call him on the Pacers. And he is the reason we got a shout-out on Fox Sports Indiana back in the day. He was asked a question in the pregame that cited one of our episodes, which was a really cool moment. And I think ever since then, he's had a really special place in my heart and in the hearts of the guys that do the Pacers, because he gives 110% every single second he's out on the floor. And he's such a calming presence as well. He's never really rattled at all, which is really important with a veteran player. So I hope they don't get rid of TJ, and I don't think they will. I think they want him to see out the rest of his NBA career in Indiana.
Yeah, that'd be good to see. All right, I'll appreciate that, fellas. We're certainly looking forward to these NBA finals to start, and it was good to talk a little bit about the Pacers as well. And I think you're exactly right, Adam. It really was a successful season. I think there's certainly room to build on from that, and I'm looking forward to see how they go next year. So, all right, well, look, we're going to do classic packs in a sec, something we love doing on this show, Adam, as you probably know. But we thought we might just quickly talk a little bit of NBL before we do that. And we're going to throw over to you for this one. So we saw the recent announcement of the NBL Hoops Fest. So I thought maybe you could just tell the viewers that maybe haven't heard a lot about that. Tell us exactly what it is and how excited you are for this NBL Hoops Fest.
Yeah, so it's an initiative by the NBL, the WNBL, and Basketball Australia at large to bring all basketball to WA for an entire week or 5 days or so, which is super exciting, I think, for not only the state of Western Australia. We've seen the success of Gather Round in the AFL, and funnily enough, NBL CEO David Stevenson, one of the things that he did before he left the AFL was he was instrumental in the creation of Gather Round. So he's brought a similar concept to the NBL. They've been able to involve the Under-18 Club Championship and the WNBL as well. And they've been able to have basketball right across Western Australian venues right from Thursday through to Sunday. So game that I'm excited about on the Thursday night, Melbourne versus Tasmania at RAC Arena. So the grand final rematch is kicking off the NBL season. This is also, I should mention, round 1 of the NBL season as well. So we get to kick off the season all in the same place. You get to see all the games in Perth. And if you choose to go over there, then you get to see every single team potentially, which you may also get to do at the Blitz if you go to that. So there's a couple of options if you really want to whet your appetite and see a lot of different NBL teams. On the Friday night, Perth play Southeast Melbourne. You have a WNBL game preceding both of those NBL games on Thursday and Friday night as well. So you get the double header. If you go to RAC Arena, you've then got WNBL double headers on Thursday and Friday at Bendat Basketball Stadium, which is a secondary stadium in WA. And then on Saturday, you've got 4 games, and Sunday you finish off with Adelaide versus Sydney in what should be a really good contest at RAC Arena as well. So I think great initiative by the WA government, by the NBL, WNBL, Basketball Australia to try and bring everything together and capitalise on not only the popularity of the competition, the NBL itself, the popularity of the sport, and it's a really great way for fans to learn about the WNBL who don't necessarily go to those games because they're usually in smaller venues. So they'll get a lot more eyes on that product as well, which is fantastic, especially given the WNBL at the moment is in talks with several investors to try and, broaden its horizons and raise that capital as part of the competition and give it more of a, mainstream feel. At the moment, it's obviously on ESPN once a week. It's on 9 Now most of the time as well. So you've got an opportunity to really leverage the popularity of the NBL to increase the popularity of the WNBL and help everyone at the same time. So it's a really cool concept.
No, really well said, mate. I definitely echo what you said about the WNBL. Woods and I are big supporters of that, and I think you're totally right. It's going to get sort of extra eyes on that maybe wouldn't normally watch it. I know a lot of people have said to me, 9 Now, what the heck is that? You know what I mean? They don't watch 9 Now. Yeah. They don't even know where that is. So I think that's great. Woods, are you maybe going to this?
I'm going. I'm going. Nice. Yeah, look, as Adam said, it's the biggest carnival of Australian basketball, in one place at one time. It's a momentous occasion. So yeah, I got the all clear for my wife. I know our good friends at the Sport Blokes over in Perth have got me a couple of tickets to some games. So really excited to head west, man.
Awesome. Can't wait. Where's the Blitz this year? I seem to be blanking on where that is.
Gold Coast.
That's right. So it was there last year as well,
Gold
wasn't
Coast.
it? Yeah,
and there was also a report today that the Gold Coast has had preliminary approval for an over 10,000 seat indoor stadium. So when you start to talk about guys like Kenny Smith jumping on and getting potentially a piece of an NBL team, Carmelo Anthony was just announced this week as a partner for Next Stars as well. You've got to consider that the Gold Coast is right in the thick of getting in the 11th team over the next couple of years. It's
take 3, right, for the Gold Coast.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that if they can parlay the Brisbane Olympics into a really strong growth in southeast Queensland, then they'll be okay.
Oh, it's very interesting. We're certainly looking forward to that. Can't wait for the season to start. I know it's going to be a bit of that lull period once the NBA finishes in a couple of weeks' time. There's not going to be anything. Of course, there'll be NBL 1, but we're really going to be missing it, and we'd be really excited for that NBL to start. Look like you got something to add, Woods? Or?
I don't know. I was going to say the Cricket World Cup's on, but you would have got, you would have.
Well, that's good. So if there's ever any nights that I'm struggling to fall asleep, I'll put that on, and then I'll be bound to be snoring in about 2 minutes. So
shots fired.
Yeah, shots fired for sure. He's used to those. Yeah, nice. So we'll really appreciate that, lads. A bit of a chat about sort of our love for the game, a bit of a chat about the NBA, and of course, that NBL update from Adam there. So why don't we finish off the show as we love to do, Woods, with a bit of classic packs, right? So, Adam,
sure.
Even for people that maybe haven't seen this, if you're watching this on on the pick and roll feed there. We open an old basketball pack most weeks on the show there. Woody, give some clues. Some people have called me the NBA Rain Man, Woods. I think I've heard that from
come
a
on,
few
man.
people.
Turn it up.
Well, that's what people have told me. So,
Stop showing off,
All right.
Yeah.
So, Woods
I'm
will
really
basically open some
excited
of
about
them.
this, boys. This is the thing that I'm most, aside from the Pietrus jersey, I'm most excited to see who these players are. I'm not saying I'm going to be good at this, but I'll give it a crack.
Yeah,
We like this set as well, don't we, Woods?
Yeah, it's a great set. Give Adam a chance as well. Don't just try and show off and jump in,
Okay.
All right, so
Easy on me.
Robbie does like this set. It's the 91-92 Fleer.
Oh.
I think these are the ones that you went to America in the 90s and bought like 30 packs of these, didn't you?
I got the couple of years before that, but these ones are
yeah.
meaningful for me because they had the Dominic inserts in there. So I've got that complete set. Is it 12 or 10? I think maybe 12 of them. But let's see if we can pull one of those Dominic inserts in this pack.
All right, so I've got to say, like we always say, this pack of cards has not been opened in 33 years, right? It's been in there for 33 years.
I was 5 years old, guys. This is a little before my time, but hopefully there's a Stacey Augman in there.
Yeah, nice.
Oh, Plastic Man. I love the guy.
Yeah, and they're definitely not pre-packaged, these ones. We've got no idea. We've had some great packs. We've also had some shockers over the journey. So let's hopefully get a good one today.
Love this guy. Played with the Pistons on those bad boys teams as a guy coming off the bench. All right, Adam? He then, later on in his life, actually won a championship. I think the 97 or 98 Bulls. After a career in...
John Sally.
John Sally it is. John Sally it is.
Nice. Did we get him last week as well?
We got him last couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, right.
Let's not forget
Nice.
John Sally also played a bit role in Bad Boys 1, Bad Boys...
Yes, do we know if he's going to be in the new Bad Boys movie?
Coming
He has
out
to be,
today,
right?
don't know. Yeah,
The
and
IT
he also...
computer guy, whatever he is in there. Yep.
There's a... But yeah, he was. Yeah, he does a bit of reality TV as well. So John Sally's had a pretty successful life post basketball. All right. This guy was John Sally's teammate on the Pistons. When you go in to write a test and you haven't studied for it properly, you may leave the sheet.
Lance Blanks.
Lance Blanks it is.
Wow, that's a pretty random one, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Lance Blanks. He averaged 1.7 points a game in the 1990 season.
Yeah, that's probably all we can say, right? 1.7 points a game. He didn't even average 2.
All right. Leave this one for Adam. All right. The mayor of Sacramento.
Oh, Mitch Richmond.
Dude, who's the mayor of Sacramento? Okay.
Oh, I have no idea.
Phoenix Suns legend.
Phoenix Gun legend.
Oh, Kevin Johnson.
KJ.
Love some KJ. What are the back of those cards like again, Woods? We've got an action shot of them as well. Oh, we got 2 pictures on the back as well.
Nice.
Nice, yeah. Love some Kevin Johnson back in the day.
Talk about some
Drafted
of the
by
great...
Cleveland, and then, he went on to have a great career with Phoenix.
When we talk about some of the great guards of that era, he gets slept on a little bit,
Yeah.
His name doesn't get mentioned as much as it should, right?
That dunk he did over the guy over Adam's shoulder there, Elijah one, when he went baseline, crammed his body and dunked it. That was huge, that.
was
YouTube
big,
that if
man.
you haven't seen it.
Yeah. All right. When we were going through players that have played for both the Mavs and
Got one, have we?
who played for the Mavs and the Celtics, I incorrectly guessed this guy's name. He was a guard, diminutive guard, made a few All-Star games from memory. No, 1990-91, right? Who was the starting point guard there?
Is it Fat Lever?
Lafayette Lever, or Fat Lever, as they like to call him.
Nice. I love those old Mavs jerseys
Great
as well.
name.
He was a triple-double threat, wasn't he, back in the day, Woods, at that position?
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this game. Okay, this guy, we've talked about him in the past. I'm not sure, it's probably a hard one here for Adam. How do I say this? This guy, if you crack crack a window, you're breaking the what?
The pain.
No. When you crack a window and it breaks, what's breaking?
Glass.
Exactly. All right, that's the clue. Come on, Robbie.
Gerald Glass? Remember
Gerald Glass, exactly.
Yeah, I've never heard of any of these guys. I'm really getting an education here, boys. I appreciate it.
Okay, all right. This one's for you, Adam. I know you got this one, right?
Okay.
Some people say that the plays he drew up as coach for the OKC Thunder were too basic. I liked him as a player's coach. Also played for the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Houston Rockets. Former coach of OKC. And often criticized for his lack of creativity in his offense. God Brooks it is. Yeah.
Scott Brooks.
One of
Nice.
those guys you could probably walk past on the street, right? You probably wouldn't
Yeah,
recognise Scott Brooks, I would
yes.
have thought. Yeah.
Our Atlanta Hawks. Robbie gets angry when I even mention this guy's name.
no,
Some
you
say
can't
some
have
say
to.
the worst contract in history in Atlanta Hawks history. Who you got? Any idea? No?
Go on.
That
Give me-
full number 32, John Contract.
John Koncak. So tell us about
He
the.
stole money off the Hawks for years, that guy. He got a massive contract back when everyone wanted to have this big center. And I think he might have had one good playoff series there, and he was just awful. He was one of the worst contracts I've ever had. Probably up there with Danny Manning as my two least favourite Hawks players in all the years I've gone for him. So, yes.
Just
I don't want that
quickly,
one.
guys, my least favourite Pacers, while we're on the topic, Evan Turner should never have been traded for Danny Granger back in the day. Monte Ellis, got waived and stretched across many years, and Tyreke Evans just immediately out of the league. Just all three guys that were supposed to be the first guard off the bench, all three guys that just failed miserably. An honourable mention, Jamal Tinsley, who probably has like a bigger rap sheet than he has a stat sheet.
He's got a good mop as well, I hear, when he's
Yeah,
chasing people through a
I
tunnel.
don't think Tariq Evans has been a good boy either, right?
No, I know.
All right. Okay, Clippers big bulky center in the early 90s. This is Orlando Magic card, but he moved to the Clippers afterwards, right? Big bulky center, 7-footer.
Did he play with LSU, perhaps? When
Yes,
Shaq
he
was
did.
there? Stanley Roberts.
Stanley Roberts, LSU. Yes.
He was a big boy. What have they got his weight of on the back of that? He had to be pushing 300 pounds.
295.
295. Wow, yeah, he was huge. Yeah, he was the starting centre, I think, when Shaq arrived at LSU, right? And then he
Yep.
ended up getting moved to the bench with Shaq.
Yep.
coming there.
All right, well, good friend Lee Ellis, if you saw
Oof.
this checklist card, what would you do with it?
Good tradition. Sometimes Woody's careful about chucking over his shoulder because his dog might come and eat it, so I know he's a little bit careful with that one.
She's
there,
sitting
so-
right here. Yeah,
Oh,
normally I would
nice.
chuck it over my head. Okay. I can't tell you much about this guy, Robbie. 6'10" Sonics forward, white guy, moved into some sort of front office work. Let me try and get a clue out here for you.
Jersey number?
Yeah, jersey number 24. If you can get this guy, you're the man.
Why the Rain Man?
Not Brad Lighthouse.
No. No. I've heard of him from somewhere. He had a long career, though, from 1990 to 2005 all over the world. Okay, I'm just going to give you this one. Marty Conlon.
Yeah, I remember he played with the Knicks. That's probably all I can talk about him. I know he was with the Knicks, but yeah, that's a big white stiff. We needed one of those for the Paxton.
Cavs guard. Number 10.
Not John Battle.
John Battle.
Ooh, former Atlanta Hawk.
Yeah, there you go.
Come on, surely that was a bit Rain Man.
Right, that was good.
Yeah,
That was good.
That was good. Lakers guard. Number 34. Played on those great Lakers teams. Played with Magic for a while. Was a reserve. Reserve, no.
Oh, Campbell?
No. Eldon Campbell, no. Number 34.
Tony Campbell, I was thinking. No.
Tony Smith.
Tony Smith, I was right with the Tony. Okay, Tony Smith, yeah, fair enough.
All right.
No
big
real
man.
superstars, I've got to say, in this pack,
No,
right?
it's been a poor pack.
Bit underwhelming.
Center forward from Dallas, number 43.
Jack Sigma,
No, black guy
43 for Dallas. For who'd you say? For Seattle?
for Dallas. Yeah,
Dallas, 43.
6'9", went to Virginia Union.
Oh, Terry Davis?
Terry D.
Yeah.
Got
Of
it.
course, had some good years at Miami as well. He was a solid player back
Yeah,
then, though.
yeah. Well done. All right, now save the best for last. Your man. One of the special cards you always.
Oh, you got a Dominic Insert?
I did indeed, man.
Oh, look out. Which one did you get?
Awesome.
Dominic Wilkins, 6 of 12.
Beautiful card. You know, I've got that All-Star jersey as well that he's rocking there. Oh, that's awesome that you got that. What is it, number 6 or 12, he said?
Yep, 6 of 12, and it just says on the back, I'll just read it. The 1986-87 season demonstrated how much Dominic Wilkins has meant to the Atlanta Hawks franchise, as he became the first Hawks player since 1981 to be selected as a starter in the NBA All-Star game. If I'm not mistaken, you have that All-Star jersey, don't you?
I do, yeah, I do have that. Does it say on
86,
those
87?
packs how random those cards are? What are they, like one in every... Does it actually say the odds of getting one of those, or did they not give that away back in the day?
No details given. It just says that you could find limited edition Dominic Wilkins and Dikembe Mutombo subsets.
Could
These
find,
are
and we
what they
did
are.
find. That's
Yep.
awesome.
6 to 12. That's pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. Oh,
You have all 12?
I do, yeah.
You
I've
have all
got my
12.
Dominic folder. I think I nearly had every Dominic card up until about the early 2000s, and I thought, oh, he's retired now. I can basically sit and relax. And they still keep making cards now, so it'll never happen where I get all the set with them. But definitely getting back into the card collecting. I don't know if you've seen the new NBL ones that are out, Adam. I've been collecting a fair few of those, getting some autograph cards. I've got a nice Jack McVeigh and a Josh McJett signed ones of those. So, yes, they're very fun. But, all right, nice. That was good. Bit of classic packs. So,
Fun, yeah.
well, look, really appreciate that, fellas. Enjoyed doing the collaboration episode. It was something we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, and I'm glad we sort of made it happen. We'll definitely throw to you shortly, Adam, for a bit of a plug where people can hear you guys. Just in terms of where we're at there. So, as I mentioned at the start of the show, please make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. We can be followed on X at Throwback Hoops. Instagram with throwback.hoops. If you want to email us jersey suggestions even, feedback, anything like that, with throwbackhoopspodcast@gmail.com. Woods, Patreon details, you want to give those?
Patreon, yeah, we appreciate everyone that pledges their support to us. It's not a must, we don't ask you to, but thanks for everyone that does. Yeah, you can jump on Patreon and look up Throwback Hoops, by the way. Yeah.
Well, over to you, Adam. So where can people follow, listen to yourself, etc.? Give us a good plug there.
Thanks, guys. Obviously, I'm representing the Pick and Roll, one of the best basketball websites in the world. pickandroll.com.au is where you can go to subscribe. You can read some fantastic content from everyone that we're lucky enough to have on the show. The show itself is Unwrapped, the Pick and Roll podcast. You can get that wherever you get your podcasts. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you like. You can also get it through pickandroll.com.au. We post every episode there, so you've got the opportunity to listen. And we've got some really exciting stuff coming. We've got the Podium Pod coming back this year, but it's bigger and better because not only do we have the Boomers going for a medal, but we've got the Opals as well. So we've got double the episodes, double the fun, and we get to engage a lot more of the Pick and Roll team this time around as well because there's a game pretty much every day. So we're going to be jumping on YouTube. We're going to be bringing you some content, bringing you the Podium Pod, as well as having Unwrapped there on a week-to-week basis. So it's a pretty exciting winter we've got ahead at the Pick and Roll, and then that dovetails really nicely into what should be a brilliant NBL 25 season, starting with Hoops Fest, WNBL, and some Aussies just kicking goals all around the world. We just try to bring you content that's Australian and showcases the great thing that Aussie hoopers are doing everywhere in every competition.
Awesome. Well said, mate. Well, yeah, really appreciate that. It's been really great to get to know you and have you on the show. We'll definitely have to do these again down the track as well. Woods, I'll throw over to you for a final word. You got any words of wisdom or anything like that?
I just got to say it's been a pleasure to get to know you, Adam, over the last little period and to chop it up with you on the show today. It's been fun. Can't thank you enough. Yeah, and when you went through the whole episode, Robbie, without giving me shit for Sydney, securing the services of Cam Oliver. How come no comments
I'm saving that for next week. Yeah.
On money spent?
Yeah. Oh no, they'll be
fair salary caps and all that. No, none of that.
It's like Sydney Kings play a game of Monopoly with just all that money they've got. But we'll put that on next week's run sheet. We'll definitely
for sure, bro. Sure.
I'll just sit here with my NBL championship trophy in the background, guys. It's fine. You guys can fight it out. No problems. We're sitting pretty down here in Tassie, guys.
Yeah, you deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve it.
Thanks so much for having me. Love what you guys do. Love the classic packs. Love the fact that I could bring a jersey on. I've got a couple more that I can bring on next time that are just as obscure. So love what you guys do. Keep doing it. We love to see Aussies making basketball content, and you guys do it really, really well. So it's a pleasure to be able to collaborate with you guys. It's been a lot of fun.
Likewise, mate. Much appreciated. Well, yeah, on behalf of all the Throwback Hoops crew, it's a big peace out. Thank you.
Peace.